On this video, we're going to be going over the answers to your quiz study guide from 8th grade math, expressions and equations, learning target 1. At the top of your study guide is just a list of tips that should help you be successful on any assessment, but definitely on this assessment, using your notes, trying examples from your homework, making a note card with important information, practicing additional examples with a friend, reviewing your homework, obviously eating a good breakfast or lunch, and getting a good night's rest. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our first question. Just a disclaimer about the study guide, these are not going to be the exact questions that you will see on your quiz. However, they are just good skills to be practicing to help you be successful. So question number 1 says find the x so that the shapes have the same perimeter. So again, if we're talking about important words and key details, perimeter we've been talking about is very important. So is the word same. Okay, and we want to write two expressions that when we set them equal to each other will help me solve for the value of x. So looking at my rectangle, I know that in a rectangle, the opposite sides are going to be the same measurement. And so if I were to write the expression to find the perimeter of a rectangle, I have two sides that are x minus 3. I'm going to add that to two sides that are 3x minus 11. And that would give me the perimeter of the rectangle. I'm going to set that equal because I want it to be the same as the perimeter of the triangle. So I'm going to look at my triangle and I see none of the sides have the same measurement, so I just need to add all three sides together. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to want to do is combine, is to distribute first. So I'm going to look at the left side and I'm going to distribute. I can add the opposite if that helps you remember you're working with negative numbers. So 2 times x is 2x plus a negative 6 plus 3 times 2, or 3x times 2 is 6x plus 2 times negative 11 is negative 22. Now on the right side, I don't have any parentheses, so I'm just going to jump right to, actually, no I'm not. I'm going to just rewrite it as it is so that we can be consistent with our steps and not try to do too much in one step. Okay, so now I have no more parentheses, but I have a lot of terms. So I'm going to go through and combine my like terms. So on the left side, I see I have 2x plus 6x. That's going to give me 8x. And then I have negative 6 plus a negative 22. That's going to give me a negative 28. And then if I look at my right side, I see that I have 2x plus 2x plus x. So that will give me 5x. And then negative 4 plus negative 6 plus negative 3. And again, if it helps, you can add your opposites so that you know that you're working with negative numbers. So negative 4 plus negative 6 is negative 10, plus negative 3 is negative 13. So now I've been able to reduce the number of terms that I have. I still need to get my variable terms, my x's together and my constants together, but I'm going to be going across the equal sign or over the equal sign. So if I'm going to the opposite side of the equal sign, I need to do the opposite operation. So I'm going to look at my 5x, my 8x. I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides, and that gives me 3x plus a negative 28 is equal to negative 13. And then if I look at my constants, I have a negative 28. The opposite of that is a positive 28. So positive 28, that leaves me with 3x equals 15. And then my last step, I'm going to divide by 3. So that gives me x is equal to 5. I'm going to go back to my original problem, and it says find the x, so the shapes have the same perimeter. I found the x, so I am done. If you'd like to substitute your x back into the values that you have to check that the two perimeters are the same, you absolutely are welcome to do that. Okay, if we move down to number 2, this problem should look somewhat familiar. However, the question changed a little bit, so don't just assume you know the answer. The table at the right shows the savings account balance of each of the Alvarez siblings. The total of all their accounts is $148. How much does Petros have in his account? Okay, so again, important details that I have here. It tells us that the total of their accounts is $148, and we are looking to find out how much Petros has in his account. So just like we did when we were looking for the amount of money in Neela's account on your homework assignment, I'm going to create an equation where I'm going to add all 3 account balances to get my total of $148. So Cindy's account has S dollars in it, plus Petros's account, which has 2 times S plus 3 in it, and then Neela has 4S minus 5 in her account, and the total is $148. So I'm going to I'm going to distribute. Keep wanting to forget that. I cannot do that. I'm going to distribute. So I have S plus 2S plus 6 plus 4S plus negative 5 equals 148. And now I'm going to combine like terms. So I have S plus 2S plus 4S. That gives me 7S plus 6 plus negative 5 is going to be plus 1 equals 148. And then I'm going to bring my constants together by crossing over the equal sign, the opposite side of the equal sign. So I have to do the opposite operation. So that is 7S is equal to 147, and 147 then divided by 7 gives me S is equal to 21. Okay, so I go back up to my question, and I'm being asked how much does Petros have in his account? Well, the question is not interested in just the S. If you look at my table, S is actually what Cindy has in her account. So Cindy has $21. Petros has more. Petros has 2 times S plus 3 in his account. So if S is 21, that's going to be 2 times S plus 3, 21 plus 3. So that would be 24. So then I have 2 times 24, which 2 times 24 is equal to 48. So Petros has $48 in his account. For question number 3, an online movie streaming plan charges an annual fee of $45 plus $250 per movie watched. Another plan has no annual fee but charges $375 per movie watched. For how many movies is the cost of the plans the same? Okay, so we have a few important words here. I can see in my first sentence I have an annual fee of $45 plus $250 per movie, and I didn't mark this, but my question is asking for how many movies is the cost the same. So my unknown is going to be movies, which I'm going to assign to M. Okay, so $250 per movie watched plus 45. Another annual fee. Another plan has no annual fee but charges $375 per movie, okay, or per movie watched. So if I need to create an equation, I know that I'm going to be setting the two expressions equal to each other. So for my first online movie company, the annual fee is $45 plus $250 per movie. So $45 plus $250 per movie. Now you'll notice I dropped the 0 off of the 250. You do not have to do that, but you can, especially in money. 2.50 is the appropriate way to write money. However, if we're just creating an equation, if we do not include that 0, it is okay. Any other digit you have to include, but the zeros are flexible. So on the other side, another plane has no annual fee, but charges $3.75 per, remember per is multiplication, per movie. Okay, so if we go ahead and solve through this, I'm going to subtract 250m from both sides to bring my variables together. And this is where maybe having a 0 would be helpful. So if you are subtracting by paper and not with your calculator, you don't lose the place value. So we have 125m, and then we're going to divide by our coefficient. So divide by 125. So if I take 45 and divide by 125, I get that m equals 36. So my question asks, for how many movies is the cost of the plans the same? So m equals 36 is my solution, but don't forget that we need to have the analysis. And the analysis is just answer the question that it's asking. So for how many movies is the cost of the plans the same? The cost of the plans is the same for 36 months, or I'm going to say at 36 months, because for 36 months seems that it would be for all 36 months. Same at 36 months. So you cannot forget that last piece. That's the part that's actually answering the question. Okay, moving on. So we have question 4. This is just straight solving. There's no context included. So looking at my first example here, I have a negative outside the parenthesis, which we know means -1. So I'm going to distribute -1 to both of those. So I have -1a plus a -9 equals, I'm going to add the opposite here, 4 times 3 is 12 plus -4a. And then I'm going to bring my variables together. So I'm going to add 4a on both sides. I could have added 1a as well. I just made a choice and stuck with it. So 3a plus -9 equals 12. And then if I add 9 to both sides, do the opposite operation since I'm going to the opposite side. 9 plus 12 is 21. And then I'm going to divide by 3. And I get a is equal to 7. And again, there's no context for this. If you wanted to check your work, you would then go back to your original equation. So you have negative times a, which is 7, plus 9. And so 7 plus 9 is 16, and 16 times -1 is -16. Or if I go to my second expression, 4 times 3 plus, and this is where I'm actually going to keep the negative or the minus, so minus a, which is 7, so 3 minus 7 is -4, and then -4 times 4 is -16. And so again, those are the same, so we know that my solution is correct. On your quiz, you will not be required to check, but if you have time, it's a really good way to make sure that you're on the right track. Looking at number 5, again, I see that I have parentheses, so I'm going to distribute, and I'm going to pay attention here. I have a minus, so I'm going to add the opposite. So I'm distributing -8. So we have -5n plus -8 times 1, which is -8, plus -8 times 7 is -56n equals -8. And then I'm going to combine like terms. So negative 5n plus negative 56n is going to be negative 61n plus negative 8 equals negative 8. And then I'm going to add 8 to both sides, add 8 to both sides. Ooh, look what happens here. So negative 8 plus 8 is 0. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0. And so then I have negative 61n on the left side. So I'm still going to finish this out. Maybe you see the answer already, but maybe you don't, and it's just confusing, which is very possible. So I see negative 61 times n, so I'm going to divide by negative 61. That's the next step that we normally do. We divide by that coefficient. And so then 0 divided by 61, if I have nothing, and I divide my nothing into 61 parts, I still have nothing. So n is equal to 0. And we can go ahead and check that. If we have negative 5 times 0 plus a negative 8 times 1 plus 7 times 0, and then that's going to all equal negative 8 if we did it right. Negative 5 times 0, that's 0. If we go 7 times 0, that's 0. So I'm left with negative 8 times 1. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8, and that checks out. All right, looking at number 6. I see again that I'm going to be distributing. I'm going to add the opposite, so I know I'm distributing a negative 2. So negative 2 times 5a and negative 2 times 9. So we have 23 plus negative 10a plus negative 18 equals 5 times 2a is 10a. Add my opposite. 5 times negative 11 is negative 55. And then I'm going to combine like terms. So 23 plus a negative 18 is the same as 23 minus 18. And so that's going to be 5 plus negative 10a equals 10a plus negative 55. And if I do my next step, I'm going to, let's say I'm going to add 10a to both sides. I'm going to do the opposite since I'm moving to the opposite side. So I'm left with 5 equals 20a plus a negative 55. So now I have to bring my constants together by crossing over the equal sign. So I have to do the opposite operation. So I'm adding 55. So that gives me 60 equals 20a. And my last step would be to divide by the coefficient. 20. So that leaves me with a is equal to 60 divided by 20 is 3. So if I wanted to check this, I can go back to my original equation. I have 23 plus a negative 2 times 5 times 3 plus 9. I'll start there. So 23 plus negative 2 times 15 plus 9, 23 plus negative 2, 15 plus 9 is going to be equal to 24. So 23 plus negative 2, well, negative 2 times 24 is negative 48. And then negative 48 plus 23 is equal to negative 25. So negative 25 there. If I then go to my second expression, which is 5 times 2 times a, which is 3, plus a negative 11. So 5 times 2 times 3 is 6, plus a negative 11. 6 plus negative 11. Need to slow down. So we have 5. 6 plus negative 11 is negative 5. 5 times negative 5 is also negative 25. So my answers are the same and they check out. Okay. Okay, and my last equation is, again, just solving with no context. I see some distributing, so I'm going to start there. So 5 times 2x is 10x, plus 5 times 6 is 30, equals, oh boy, I'm going to add the opposite here. Negative 4 times negative 5 is 20, plus negative 4 times negative 2x is positive. Negative times a negative is a positive. 8x plus 3. Okay, so now I'm going to, I see I have a lot of terms, or 3 terms on my right side, so I'm going to combine what I can, which would be 20 plus 3. So I still have 10x plus 30 on the left side. 20 plus 3 is 23, plus 8x. And now I'm going to combine terms across the equals sign, so I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides. And again, that was just a choice I made. So that's 2x plus 30 equals 23. And then if I get my constants together, I have to move the 30 over to the 23 because 23 is all by itself. Since I'm going to the opposite side of the equal sign, I have to do the opposite operation. So that leaves 2x is equal to negative 7. Okay, and then if I divide by 2, x is equal to negative 3.5. Okay, so let's check that, because I don't know that I remember giving you a decimal, so maybe I did something wrong. But let's double check. So we have 5 times 2 times negative 3.5 plus 6. So 5 times 2 times negative 3.5 would be negative 7 plus 6. And negative 7 plus 6 would be negative 1. And that would be 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Then if we do negative 4 times negative 5 plus a negative 2 times negative 3.5 plus, close parentheses, plus 3. So negative 4 times negative 5 plus negative 2 times negative 3.5 is going to be a positive 7 plus 3. So negative 4 times, negative 5 plus 7 is going to be a positive 2. Close my parentheses, plus 3. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 plus 3. Hey, what do you know? Negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. Those are the same number. So I did give you a decimal response, but I was able to check that by substituting negative 3.2 back in for x. All right, if you have any questions, add them to the Edpuzzle, and I'll get back to you.